Hey everyone, welcome to a live video where we're going to have some fun. We're going to start reviewing e-commerce stores, and I think going over these will, if you run an e-commerce store or e-commerce shop, whether that's for a clothing brand or for your business and you're selling merch, these reviews will help you see what you're doing in your store and seeing if you can't apply some of these to your store to increase more sales. Now, the first store we're going to do is actually Taylor Swift. She obviously has a big following, big store. I'm not, this is a blind review, so I haven't really looked at her store. First thing I do see is, again, we're looking at I'll just click I understand. We're looking at the desktop version. Just all for now. Okay, so we're looking at the desktop version. Now we can also review the mobile version. And again, this comes back to where, well, we'll go back. We'll go back to the desktop version. But the good thing about this is we can always look at the mobile version as well. And depending what kind of business you are, what your target clientele is, that will determine, it's good obviously to have both, but like for our clothing brands, mobile is going to be the best, right? Because 99% of the people that are going to buy are going to be in for mobile. But for business sites, B2B, a lot of those people will be on desktop. So, it may be better to really target and get the desktop version correct. Now, so the first thing I see, I don't know if you can really see it, but she created a subdomain. So basically, she took taylorswift.com and she just created a subdomain, which is store.taylorswift.com. And that allows her to create a completely different website off of her main website. I don't know what her main website looks like. I'm sure it probably just talks about tours and whatnot, but this is a great way if you have a business and a website is to do a subdomain, because subdomains are basically act as a completely new website. And so if you have, myclothingbrand.com, you can do shop.clothingbrand.com, which is what we use a lot, or marketing.clothingbrand.com, and each one can have its own individual website on there. And so looking at this, again, this is the desktop version. This is going to be a blind thing. I really haven't really been on here before, but looking at this, looks like this is a big, it's kind of a big image here. Let's see the hero image. So, well, first of all, I guess we can go look at the top here links, right? So here is her home button, right? I'm sure that's probably her logo or her name in text format. And again, this is something where we want to work on branding. So if you're branding, make sure you have a brand Bible. I talk about this a lot. That has the font that you have or you use to create your, unless it's a altered or custom font, you want to have the font that you use, and you want to keep everything consistent, right? You want to keep the brand there. And so you have the three buttons up here, obviously the search, the account, and what's in your shopping cart. That's in the upper right. Now let's look at the category she uses. So the life of a showgirl, shop by album. Again, I'm probably sure that's just all the different albums she put out and the merch associated with that album, which is kind of cool. So this is a drop-down menu here. We call it a drop-down, and drop-down menus you can do by columns, right? So she did drop-down menu, one column. Sometimes what you'll have is, I don't know how to do this, but sometimes what you have is can see it, you'll have a drop down column, but then you'll have, so you have a drop down menu, but then you'll have, 1, 2, 3, 4 different columns. So one could be, it says shop by album. One could be I don't know, I'm not really familiar with Taylor Swift, but, one could be a U.S. tour album, and then a European tour and Australia. And so they decided to do just one column, which is kind of interesting because as you can see, you can't really see. Hold on. Let me move this over here a little bit. So when you oh no. So now when it's, let's see here. There's a little lag here. I don't know why there's a lag here, but yeah, okay. The Life of a Showgirl. Okay, so as you can see, when we hover over it, it's just one long, big column, right? Whereas if you look at if you hover over shop by album, again, this is really kind of slow. Maybe if it's hovering over merch. One of these I can see has... Okay, so like if you hover over merch, there you go. This one, as you can see, this has 3 columns, right? And so she has the apparel accessories on one column, and then she breaks down the categories in the second column: apparel, hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve, pants, shorts. And then in the third column, she'll have all the accessories, right? Hats, bags, all the different merch and swag and promotional products. And so let me move myself back over here. There we go. So that is something that she does. And so these are nice drop down images. And as you can see, I don't know, I'm looking at this girl's outfit and jacket right here. And so I don't know if aqua is kind of Taylor Swift's color or not, but you can see that the header background color is a aqua or some gradients of of an aqua based color. And then when you hover over something, the background color for this is a straight aqua color. So I don't know if that's a color of Taylor Swift's or not, but let's start scrolling down. It must be, because this t-shirt right here is in an aqua print. So I'd assume, and this is all aqua background here. So I'm sure that's a pretty important color. And that's really good when it comes to branding, right? It's you get to see and get, it really enforces the brand. And so let's take a look at these hoodies. And again, I'm not trying to, so this is pretty interesting. When you hover over this, hover over the hoodie, it actually shows a little video, which is kind of cool. I don't know how that's going to translate on mobile. Mobile will probably just show a picture. But on the desktop version, she has some really nice effects. Now I can see that's embroidered. She embroidered the inside label, which is nice. Looks good embroidery, yeah. Looks like a good stitching. So let's see. The Life of a Showgirl violet blue hoodie. She has a quick view button, which is good. I'm sure that's going to bring up just the size it's available in, the price, all the different attributes, or I don't know what Shopify calls it, but all the different characteristics of the particular hoodie. Now I'm trying to see. This is so well. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. Just quick view. All right. So again, I like the aqua background, teal background. Select the size. She uses drop down menu. Wow, she goes all the way from youth, small, all the way to quads. We call 4X quads, and 3X is triples. 2X is doubles, by the way. So if you want to get good at the lingo, it's and you also say, some people I've heard say XLs, but we call it XLs. And so XLs, doubles, quads, triples, quads. Let's see what they're $75. Is there a print on the back? So I don't know if that's a print on the back. Okay, so it says ships on or about March 9th. Okay, so they're not doing a pre-sale. Let's see what the back. Oh no, doesn't show the back, huh? Oh, it shows it on a model. Wow. Well, this is maybe not because you can see the shoulder seams right here, and the print is way down here. So that's, I don't know if they yeah, is that the shoulder seam? I'm not sure. But if that's the shoulder seam, this person's wearing a hoodie that's really big on them. And so it looks a little odd, but the life of a showgirl here. So it looks like I don't see anything on the back. Yeah, so that's it. $75. Obviously, this is where you're paying for the brand, right? So that's good. I know the cost of the hoodie. I know this is probably gonna be screen printing, and this is gonna be probably a DTF or DT. Well, depending on how many they print at a time, right? So yeah, $75 price. Free standard US shipping. That's good. Oh, on Mercer's $50 now. Okay, that's good. A lot of times, what you try and do is to, break the shipping cost into the cost of the shirt, right, or into the cost of the garment. This is kind of interesting. These are a paint to print, right, because it connects at the very bottom, and so this is going to be let's see, one color, a quick view. $45. That's actually that's probably not a bad deal. Let's see, and I don't know if she's private labeling the inside. What they do is, even though it's Taylor Swift, I highly doubt she's. We print for some pretty big companies, and we know what they do, and I highly doubt I don't know. They might, but what most companies will do is they'll get a tearaway label, right, or they'll cut out the label and then they'll resew the shirt. But that's the way they put on the inside label, and so that's what easy to print. But so let's look at a jacket, bomber jacket. Bomber jackets are kind of cool. We do a lot of puffers. We do a lot of puffer jackets, and so that is embroidery. Let's see, I clicked on the quick view here. So she did a 3-column on the front of her website. On her store. So she did a 3-column, shows 3 products, $150. Looks good. Well, I don't know what kind of jacket it is, but if it's just printing on the inside and embroidering on the front, again, this is where you're really paying for brand, right? It's this jacket. Can someone sell it for $150? Like Taylor Swift, obviously she can. Or, are you a $75 brand or $80 brand? Right, you get that extra $150. Okay, so she has 3 columns here on their homepage. Let's see. Oh, let's look at this shirt. Just FYI, white shirts will be pretty easy to run. What I know is she didn't really say. I'm sure it's on here, but it's $45. Let's click on the size info because it doesn't say if it's cotton. Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's weird they don't put what the material is. Because if it's just cotton, that's going to be a pretty easy print there. So again, I really like that they, even in the virtuals, they put the inside label on. That's a nice touch. Of course, when they do that, they should also print it like that as well, which I'm sure they do. $45, a little steep for a white shirt. Again, I don't know what it is. I assume it's a cotton shirt. So, but again, that's what they do. Okay, let's, okay, so this is a 2-column image, vertical. I wonder how this would look in mobile. In mobile, this would just stack one on top of the other, I assume. But I really like, she has a lot of visual imagery, which is nice. Okay, let's look at some hats. So this is a snapback hat. Let's see, I think I saw $25. Let's take a look. $35. So what they'll do is, looks like that's a print in the front, and then she'll embroider on the side her name. All right, embroidery on a hat is usually on the left side, one finger up from above this, or half a finger, I should say, sorry. And yeah, looks pretty basic hat, $35. That's actually a pretty good price. You know, hats are, I've seen hats on clothing brands that go for $45, $50, and it's crazy. You know, hats are good. They're a good item to have on your store, and it's a good offering for your clothing brand. So this one, she only offers two things. Looks good. All right, so she has a full width picture here, which is nice. Again, a lot of the teal aqua colors, and I like that they're wearing the merch, right? So, as you know, you could probably get AI. There's a lot of AI apps out there that will plop your logo on your clothing brand. I don't know how it is now, but before it was very just, it's very, there was only so many different poses and people on that app. So if you know what you're looking for, you could obviously tell, like, hey, like for instance, I could tell, like, hey, yeah, this was used by AI because it's the same model, it's the same background, it's the same thing. It's just the only thing different is that person's, clothing brand. So I'm sure that in this one, same background, it's the same thing. It's just the only thing different is that person's, clothing brand. So I'm sure that in this one, it's someone of Taylor Swift. I'm sure this is an actual picture with real people. And, again, you have to think of what your audience is, right? And so this is a fun picture of them just having fun, having a good time, eating, maybe after a concert, maybe for a party, just going out. Looks like they're eating on if this is a hotel, which it looks like it may be. If this is a hotel, it looks like they're eating on the room service cart, which is always fun. Roll yourself around on that. And she has a lot of her stuff, which should be, a lot of her stuff is full color, right? And so that's good. That's the difference with clothing brands and corporate apparel. Clothing brands obviously usually have a lot more color. But keep in mind, if you have a lot of color in your designs, that's going to cost more unless you're ordering big quantities. So if you're doing if you're doing screen printing, doing a 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 color, you're going to probably want to make it worth your while. You're probably going to want to be doing, 288 pieces or more. You don't want to do a 8 color on a screen print for 24 pieces, right? At that point, you might as well just do DTF or DTG if it's on cotton. But So just so you know, I get this asked a bit too. So DTG is good. DTF is all the craze. DTG is going to be good on cotton. I've seen some really, really nice prints using DTG. It's funny. They always try, and I've seen ads where they say DTF is the king of quality. DTG is trash, which is not true. DTF will have that rubbery. They call it hand, right? When you rub the design, your finger over the design, is it rubbery? If it's rubbery, it's going to be more like a vinyl. Is it soft? Can you feel when you rub your hand? Can you feel the print? Water-based inks are gonna you won't be able to feel it because the ink goes into the shirt, whereas screen printing lays a layer of ink over the shirt, right? Like plastisol inks. And so when you rub your hand over the print, you're going to be able to feel a little thing from the print. But looks like she did a little glitter here. Let's look at a sweatshirt. So Black Crew sweatshirt. And it seems like she's only offering one color too, which is kind of good. The other issue you have to worry about too is when you're running this kind of stuff, a lot of people offer, this same design, but in 6-7 different shirt colors or sweater colors. And that's fine, but it just depends on which way you're manufacturing and producing it. Are you doing it all? It's cheaper to put it all in one big run and run it, especially if you're doing screen printing. But then now you're holding inventory. And that's why when you see certain people or certain sites that'll have, they'll have something like not available in, XLs, doubles, mediums, and they'll only have certain sizes available in a certain style. That's because what they did is they printed a whole bunch of it, and then they ended up not selling that particular style and that particular size. So now they're trying to get rid of it. And so $65, that's actually pretty good for a sweater, right? Full color front. I don't know what's on the side. I don't know if that's printed or embroidered, but at the bottom of the sleeve, that's pretty common. But yeah, this is a pretty good price here for a Taylor Swift crew neck sweatshirt. Again, here's another hat that's embroidered. Ooh, not 3D, but the stitching looks a little. The E also looks a little off, but I don't know if that's part of the design or not. Maybe. And this is a good thing too. Is she's doing a full width promotion of whatever this is. TS, which I assume is Taylor Swift collection, available while supplies last. And again, I don't know much about it. Maybe I'm completely off, but it seems, I love how they do the same color, right? Obviously the color of the shirt here is the same color as the graphic on the website and the background colors on the website. So that's a really nice touch. Bathrobes. Okay, bags. Here's a promotional products with pens and notepads. Trays. That's nice. Rings. Okay, yep. The Life of a Showgirl collection. Perfume. Glitter vinyl. Okay, so this is something too that's becoming a little bit more popular now and is being used more in e-commerce, especially with clothing brands, is going to be not packages, but it's going to be boxes. And so what you do is you have, let's just say, a special box, and in the box has a shirt, a hoodie, a beanie, a hat, some candy, some pens, stickers, all this stuff, right? And then you can sell that. You piece together a bunch of different stuff, put it in one box, and you sell that. You sell that as a box. So merch boxes are pretty popular. Here's her bottom links. This is really good. I like the email updates, right? So you're always trying to, this is something that, I say it, but we can do more of it ourselves, is you really want to try and get email addresses. Email addresses are going to be probably the best other than cell phone or text message marketing, but email address is going to be good because I've seen this not so much lately, but back in the day when people were so reliant on a certain platform, right? Even like TikTok, when TikTok was going to go away, whenever that was, people were, there was news articles, right? They were saying that companies were really scared because all their business came from TikTok, and so if TikTok shut down or go away, then they would lose their connection with their audience. And so that's why I really like email addresses, because no platform can take your email addresses away, and so you will always have the ability to email your list to promote things. We were working with a friend of ours. We don't work with them anymore, but they had a golf concierge company for Las Vegas. Not in Las Vegas, but I think that Arizona, California too. But if you're coming to Las Vegas and you were going to go, you wanted to force them to go golf, you wanted to run a little tournament, whatever, you would just email them, and they would, they would really know what courses were good. I'm not golfing. They would know which courses are good, which courses are reseeding, which courses are, if you wanted to play on a highly rated course where the PGA players play, then that's where, they know all that information. And so, but they had a really big email list, and they took years, and that, I think they sold their company, but that email list alone is probably worth the majority of the money. Is because they could send out one email, and they were really good about email marketing. They would send out an email, and they would say, "Here, this is what's going on. Here are some specials," and they would generate a lot of revenue off emails. So definitely get email. Segment your emails if you do multiple things, and we have some interviews lined up where with email marketing experts too, and I'll interview them, and hopefully can shed some light and some info and drop some real knowledge on how to do effective email marketing. Here's some links: which music, I'll actually promote your music as well, and customer support and information. Okay, so let's scroll back up to the top here. Let's just click on, let's shop by an album. The Life of a Showgirl Shop. Okay. Okay, so as you can see here, it's collections. If it's labeled as collections, that is going to be probably a Shopify store. If I were to guess, maybe it's something else. I don't know. Shopify labels their collections as collections. WooCommerce is categories. Although, you can easily rename it to something else. So, but anyway, that's probably what this is running on. So we've actually seen these. And so this is where we did a interview with, and he is an e-commerce SEO expert. And what he was saying, and we had the interview, we're going to be posting that as well. He was saying, if you're going to, as far as SEO for e-com, is to send all your links to category pages or collection pages. And so that's where, in fact, let's do it. This is not really the life of a girl. This is not going to really be fair, because obviously it's Taylor Swift. But what they should do is they should see. So top result here. This is all sponsored ads, but the top they call this SERP, right? SERP, search engine results pages. But the top one should go right to that. Yeah. And so this is where it's good for SEO if you're employing SEO as part of your e-com strategy, is to send links and really build up these collection pages. And so again, we'll post that interview so you can see it. Really smart guy. That was a great interview, and I hope that we can get more from him. So let's take a look at, just for fun, let's look at the apparel. Yeah, we can look at hoodies. Okay. So again, yeah, hoodies here. French Terry. Okay. Yeah, there's a shirt here. Now, what's also kind of big right now too is something called mixed media. And I don't think this is mixed media, but mixed media is where you do a combination of things, right? And so what they'll do is they'll have something like, for instance, let's just pull this up. And again, I'm not saying that this is it, but we'll pull it up and I'll show you an example of what mixed media would look like. So mixed media like this would look like if Taylor Swift was, let's just say, embroidered in the background, and then that couldn't happen because it was an overlay. But if that was embroidered in the background, and then the people on the front were printed, and so that would be an example of mixed media. You'll see that a lot if you go to retail stores and whatnot. You'll see a lot of mixed things, right? Like half would be you'll have something screen printed or digitally printed on the front, and then they'll have different embroidery or patches or something else on the side. And that's not necessarily something we see for corporate clothing brands, but for corporate clothing apparel, but for clothing brands and whatnot, that's really popular. Here, I like that they have multiple men and women wearing it. That's good. Kind of shows a fit on both sides, no drawstrings. So the only thing I see here, okay, so let's look. Here you go. So this is something that I didn't see on this stuff, and that's what the specs are, right? And so beige hoodie with pocket featuring Taylor Swift. They put it in the front. So 100% cotton. It doesn't tell you this 10 to order. Wow, maybe people order in bulk. That's probably to stop resellers or whatnot, because otherwise a reseller, someone would, especially if it's a rush drop, they'll buy the whole thing, and then especially if it's a limited edition. Machine wash cold, like colors, do not bleach. This is just the standard boilerplate stuff. Model measurements. This is really good too. I like how they add the model measurements. So they'll tell you their height, weights, and whatnot, so that you kind of gauge how this would look compared to you. And so this is really good right here. $75. A little pricey, but it's Taylor Swift, and so I don't see anything back. So I mean, it's a pretty good deal. It's not easy print, so it's not like it's just a one color print and you're done, right? I think that was $75. But again, this is where branding is so important, right? It's what you can brand, and your brand is the more charge. Let's look at t-shirts. Oh, okay, good. Yeah, they offer filters. That's awesome.